my next video was going to be about, I don't know, like 8 things that I probably won't get into that much right now. But I was thinking about making a video, and then the Foo Fighters song, "The Sky is a Neighborhood," came on, and decided to do this one. So we have races, right? And back when, before, the more global the earth becomes, the less races that are like brought to the forefront of your mind. Ireland, I have really strong ancestral ties to Ireland, and from whence were the Irelandish before that, and they've been feuding with the British for quite a while. It's kind of a sore spot. Like if you go to Ireland, which I never have in this life, then you don't mention politics, because politics will undoubtedly bring you directly, bad times about, North and Southern Ireland. Yeah, so, but obviously there, race is a big thing. Or if you watch Braveheart, what was that, the Scottish and the English? So the English just didn't like anyone. And if you look, they're a small country, but back then, small countries could, and they still do with each other, small countries still fight. But anyway, people talk about the human race, and they don't know what the word human means. Most people don't. And but there's the human race, and then if you look a little further back, there's the Denisovans, the Neanderthals. I mentioned the Denisovans first because that's the one that very few people even know about. But there was the Neanderthals, the Denisovans, Homo sapien was supposedly the next evolution, or the next one that we know of. But there are 5. And then we had, then we went more by continents for a while, the Chinese and, South America, the Hispanic region, sort of, and that has Spain in it, because we know that Spain invaded South America pretty substantially. People say, where did the Mayans go? And I'm like, didn't the Spanish invade that place pretty seriously? But that was later. But that's where the word Hispanic even comes from. I don't know what they prefer to be called. South Americans, Venezuelans, I don't know, because I'm an American. See what I'm saying? Like, everyone knows about America, but Americans don't usually know that much about, an Australian will have conceptions of America, and everyone does, and Americans are like, what? I don't even know where you are. I don't even know where your country is. At least I am, because I am not a geography guy unless it serves these topics. But in the tribes and all these, and a lot of regions are still fighting each other, gangs and militias and things like that all around the world are still fighting. We don't hear much about it. But anyway, so 2 nights ago I was talking with some ET, I suppose, and they brought up a really good point, something that I'd forgotten. As a Irish, Welsh, American, I'm kind of proud of my ancestors. They were some really smart people, the ones that I know of, and they did some great stuff. And I'm descended from Eric the Red, who founded Greenland, the nation, the country, whatever, Greenland, and he named it. And they got along too with people. The Vikings had actually discovered just about everything, and maybe everything before, you know, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Like, yeah, make that rhyming, because it's not true, you know. And America's not named after Americo Vespucci either. That's not true. And yeah, you know, maybe this is like not common knowledge, but it's named after the Amaru bird, which is essentially kind of metaphor for the phoenix, but it's more tied in with the secret destiny of America, which may or may not have more to do with the bringing back of some of the, you know, it's the new Atlantis. And but what they were saying was basically about the reverence pertaining to your race, but not even like when tribes would interbreed with tribes that were even a little bit different from their own, which they did with some regularity. It was done with reverence for their own tribe. It was, you know, interracial relationships were approved by the, you know, the elders and the people, you know, the people who were relevant. And it was a ceremonial merging, and it had some meaning. When you take away the reverence for your race or the other race, you're you know, you're missing something. And obviously in America, and as I mentioned in other countries in the past, race was a big thing. And I was watching this show called Altered Carbon, which I really recommend. It's on Netflix. And at the end of that show, it's not really a spoiler because it wasn't really important, but they had basically like a dinosaur or something, and they made reference to the ancient ones, and they were like, I wonder if this is where they got the idea of angels, because in that show they're all essentially AI that don't see themselves as AI, and that's really interesting. It's set in the future, but it's a good show, and it's definitely worth seeing, because that less or more is going to be what it's going to be what things are going to look like to some degree in the future. To some degree, less or more. So hybrids. I'm gonna throw this out there, just you know, and it doesn't matter, like no matter where you're from, you should be proud of your people, you know, like, and maybe historically I have some kind of a grudge at times against the English for the shenanigans they pulled with the Irish, which is much worse than anyone knows. But that's the thing, is history is full of people fighting with each other, you know, the races and the tribes being cruel to each other, or some of them just being downright cruel as their disposition or position, who they are, their identity. But in America, it's more like it's divided. The race is like secondary to the politics and the religious. And at least in New England, we had the witch trials around here, like what, 80 miles away, and my aunt died on on this road right here before I was born. She was riding a horse. She got hit by a car. She had spina bifida. I don't even really know what that is, but it sounds unfortunate. Actually, I kind of do, but anyway. That's a Jehovah's, what is that, a Mormon church there? Or Jehovah's, I think it's Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't even know. But the, you know, that's another good example, is in just how splintered things are. Like Christianity is broken into like Jehovah's Witnesses, who are big into angels, and the Mormons, who are more into the metaphors of Venus and the physicality of that archetype. I'm not going to get into it because people who don't know about that topic too much, they'll go into like ridiculous religious hating fervors, and that's it's really not justified in that case. And then you have who else? You got the Seventh-day Adventists, and they have Sabado, you know, like the Spanish day for Saturday, I believe. Oh no, that's Sunday, isn't it? Maybe it is Saturday. I don't know. But Saturday is the holy day. Sunday is the first day of the week. So the holy day in the Bible is Saturday. The Gregorian calendar changed that. And after that was changed, you know, the Bible of 1611 had, I think, like 15 books taken out of it. So people, you know, that's just division, you know, like Christians will be like, oh, the Jehovah's Witnesses are knocking on the door. And I'm like, yeah, well, they never knocked on mine. And the Mormons that did knock on my door helped me build a fence. And I tried to convert them to my belief system, which is many belief systems, so there's no harm in that. Anyway, I'm almost at my destination. So this is important stuff. There are many people with agendas who will tell you that these things are not important, and you should not like your race or your people, and you should not like others. And to some extent that's true, but the more people believe that and buy into the division, the more of a reason there is for the division to exist. And this is going to bring me real quick, before I get where I'm going, to the idea of you know, what you think is what you create. And that's a really popular concept. It's a really popular New Age concept. And look at that. I wonder what they thought over there that their place burnt to the ground. You know, that's probably what they would say. Oh, they were thinking. Yeah, I'm sure they were thinking. They were living beings. They have a brain. They're thinking. But it's not what you think that matters in the way that they're saying. It's a matter of getting everyone to know what you know, so that they can learn more. You know, like if 5 million people agree with something, then you've got 5 million people who agree with you. And there is great power and responsibility, as Winston Churchill said, and my friend Dan Brown posted today. And yeah, there's a lot of responsibility. It's very difficult. And these topics are weighty, and great knowledge of them gives you the responsibility. So be responsible.